Hey everyone, how's it going? Just here today, make another video. First off, I don't match. Okay, let's just get that out of the way. It's the truth. I don't match. Now that we got through that, let's get to the video. So what I want to talk about today, I suppose I was just feeling kind of ranty. Like I don't know, I just wanted to talk. Like I didn't have a huge plan, but it's on my teeth here. Anyways. How about I was thinking about talking about what's the reason to live, you know? What why am I here? Why am I living? Why not give up, you know? What's the purpose of life? What's the meaning of life at all? Like what why? You know, why go on if there's nothing? Assuming you're not religious. If you're religious, well, there you go. But I'm not. So assuming I'm not, you know, why go on? So I came to the conclusion a while ago that it's depressing. There is no if I don't believe in if I'm not gonna I feel like believing in a religion would be lying to myself. You know, I'm not saying that's everyone can believe what they want, but for me, that's what I would feel like. So if I that's how I am, and I can't believe in a religion, then all it seems like is this is all I have. Whatever miserable existence I have, people are born with disabilities, with no legs, with mental retardation. That's the only life they get. It's not fair. Like it's really, I think that's the most depressing part. Is we see on the media normal people, but there's the majority of people are not normal. They're born with a disability, an issue. They're something's wrong with their body, their mind. They're missing something, and but that's all they get. They only get one shot at life, and whatever hand they're dealt is what we get. So, what's the point of going on then? If you get to live a subpar life, if you're like a subpar person, you get to live, if you have, something's wrong with you, right? You could think, well, what's the point if you're gonna live a subpar life to just end to nothing, and just the end there's nothing. So why? Let me fix this. Well, my conclusion was that if there's really nothing at the end, right? If I there could be, but I have no evidence for that, and I'm an evidence person. So let's say there's nothing. Then I guess the only logical I came with the logical conclusion that the meaning of life is the meaning of life itself. Meaning, if there's no objective, then it must be not an objective. That's the meaning. Because we tend to think of meanings as objectives, is sort of the problem. But if there is no objective, then it's the experience. It's like when you go play a sport, right? A lot of times the meaning to win a sport is to win, and that's kind of how most people think. But it's really the experience of either losing or winning. Winning is an experience. It's the experience of playing through it. Because winning is only 1% of the time. Most of the time it's playing. And a lot of times it's losing as well. So it's the whole experience. It's not one moment of that. It's the whole thing. So when you think of that to life, then the meaning of life is just so it exists. The meaning of existence is just to have existence. Because there's no the point is what it is now. I mean, this is something. Maybe it's not what you idealize in your head, but whatever life you have, it exists. Maybe this we tend to think of this. It seems like in religions or everything, and or the humans, the general consensus is that, oh, this life sucks, so we always idealize something better at the end. But what if it should be the opposite, right? What if it's just our perspective that's the wrong thing? What if this is the heaven, right? What if this existence is the heaven? Whatever you have, and everything else is just nothing. What if this is our happy? What if this is yeah? If you say you looked at this as the heaven, that the happy moment, the purpose. You looked at this part of your life as the purpose, the end goal. So imagine it like this: the universe has existed forever. If everything behind you, if everything that came, if everything that was built up to your existence, all the chances, all the probabilities of this line that built up to your existence this is 10 trillion. Let's not. I'm not going to go into the age of the universe. That's the whole different topic. Let's say this is 5 trillion, 5 billion, however many years ago, right? And then you're okay. This is the line, and then you're here, right? You're here in between the two fingers, and this is everything else leading up to it. So what if this is the goal? If you think about it like that, this was the journey, the nothingness, the bad times, and then I'm trying to the camera is in a different spot that I want my hands to be. Then you get to this point here of you being born, your life, whatever you're dealt, and then this is the moment. This is the goal. When you think about it, life is ever series of escalating evolution, and everything it produces is a goal to that organism. It's a goal. It's a step in the evolutionary chain. So when I think about it like that, I think of this life as the heaven, as the goal. This is what everything before me has built up to. Every organism that reproduced, that eventually produced me, came. Some of them were humans that produced me, like in the line of organisms from a cell to evolutionary developed to a human. Some of those humans who produced the long chain of my ancestors were thinking the same thing. What's the purpose of life, right? And their purpose, their existence of living, created the goal of eventually me. So to me, this is the goal, this life. And if I can see this life as the heaven, that's the meaning, just the existence, just the journey, whether it be good or bad, then I can really enjoy everything. I can frame it in that way, and I can just enjoy the good and the bad. I don't really see anything as good or bad anymore. I just see it as information. If someone breaks up with me, emotionally it may feel bad, but I just see it as I just see the bad emotion as an experience. I could have either had nothing, I could experience that negative feeling during a breakup. Is that necessarily a bad feeling? If you frame it as bad, yes, but for me, I don't frame it that way. I frame it as, well, I just experienced something. I just experienced an emotion. I just experienced some emotion that developed from, millions and millions of years of evolution that created that feeling toward that breakup. And I just find happiness in that. I found pleasure in that. Even I find the pleasure in that, in the bad moments. I accept the bad moments as just another experience rather than a bad moment. And it may be hard if you're especially for most people that may be easier to understand, but I've been disabled before. I've been in bed sick, throwing up for years. Not they're in bed the entire year, but I've had some medical issues, and it's made me sick a lot. And during the first years of my illness, it was, what was the point of life, right? What I couldn't really go do anything, couldn't go outside, I was just sick all the time. So like, what was the point? Like, what, even going through my going through my vision, my idea, how could there be a point even in that? If my goal is experience, how can you enjoy even that experience? I mean, that's tough, but I was still alive. I didn't have to. Yes, I was suffering, but there was also, especially nowadays, also slightly good moments. I think of the feeling of illness. That's my body, That's my body, my evolutionary mind speaking to me and creating that experience of negativity, that nausea, that depression of, oh, I can't do anything, I'm bored, just sitting here being sick. What's the point to live? You're just I was just sitting there doing nothing, feeling sick, and so what was the point? But I still was able. It's not as easy as I probably make it sound, but I was still sort of able to separate that. I was able to see that experience as another part of me, and the other part observing this journey as another part of me. So I wasn't completely overwhelmed by depression or illness. It was, I mean, sometimes I was close, but I was able to see it as a story. I was able to separate part of my brain and look at everything else going in my brain and my body, and look at me from a third person view, and say, this is an interesting story. I get to live this story of this person, whoever this is, whatever all my brain cells have created. I get to watch this. I get to go through this, and it's just a story. I can either internalize it or I can witness it as a third party, and that's what kind of drives me forward to that purpose of life is just an experience, because I can look at myself in third person, just look at me as a story, as another set of information, and the universe of infinity, infinite probabilities in the universe. I'm just one sequence, just one anomaly. I get to witness the story of this creation from a first person perspective through the eyes, and from a third person, just my mind detaching from all the experience. And that's how I created the logic that it's the purpose of life is this. The purpose of life is to go through this story and just witness the story from a pulled back point of view, and it's almost like split personality, but not really. I'm separating myself. I'm separating myself into two halves. The the half that observes and enjoys and observes the story, and the human half which feels pain and suffering, and is more of an animal type. And it's more of an animal type being who has needs and wants and eats and drinks. And the other half of me is the third person viewer who just looks at it as a story, as a movie, as a book. And so then, after I was able to separate those two parts of my brain, oh, this is going to sound weird. After I was able to separate those two parts of my brain, then I created the theory, or the, not theory, but the happiness with my life, that this this wasn't worth nothing. It was that this is the something. This is the heaven. This is the story I get to live through, and this. It may be a sad story, it may be a happy story. Usually, there's moments of both. And whatever this story is, whether I die tomorrow or whatever, I'll look at it in a third person view and be like, "That's an interesting story." And It may take some confidence to do that, to say your story is interesting. But I think everyone has an interesting story. I think everyone, every cell, every existence has a great story to tell. And I just find it all entertaining. And that's what's given me the purpose to live, just to find everything entertaining. As a story, as an experience to enjoy. So that's my video. That was a doozy. That was could have sounded a bit trippy, but we'll go with that. So I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Bye.